Police in Stockton, California are investigating 5 murders that happened between July and September of this year. There is evidence linking the murders together, and authorities are now saying they may have a serial killer on their hands. Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie,
Hello.
how's it going?
Good. Glad to be back. Feeling
Yeah,
kind of
long
like,
time no see.
right? Feeling kind of discombobulated and not put together today for our recording,
I
but we're here. We made
totally understand.
it.
I got home from a 10-day vacation at 7 o'clock last night, so you can imagine how organized I am. Not
I'm
at
sure.
all.
Well, I'm glad you're back. And it sounds like you had
Yeah.
a marvelous time.
Oh gosh, we sure did. You know, all my life, and I think it's just money, really.
Hmm.
Every vacation I've ever had has been pretty rushed. Like, we only have this many days, we have all these things to do, and so you just sort of
Hmm.
run the whole time. And
Sure.
we didn't do that this time. We had an Airbnb on the Oregon coast near Lincoln
Hmm.
City for a week,
Hmm.
Saturday to Saturday. And we slept in, we went and did stuff we wanted, then we came back, we went to bed early. Like, it
Yeah.
was just so relaxed.
No major agenda. Yeah.
No, I mean, we had a few things we wanted to do and we did all
Sure.
of them, but
Hmm.
there was no like big rush at all.
Hmm.
And that was wonderful. Like,
That's
this is,
amazing.
I actually have come back feeling more relaxed after this vacation. And often I don't.
Hmm.
I come back feeling stressed and we've just
Needing
been
a
on the run the
vacation
whole
from your
time.
vacation. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, no, I've learned a lesson here that
Hmm.
taking more time is definitely worth it.
Yeah. For sure. Well, awesome.
Yeah. So,
I love it.
how was your week?
Well, it was good. We had three throwback episodes,
Yeah.
one of which came out of our Patreon vault. So a lot of people had not heard it and
Mhm.
have enjoyed it a lot. We've had a lot of feedback on that one, a lot of listens and watches on it. And a Halloween episode we did last year that I thought was a lot of fun. Yeah, and, then, of course, brushing up on some old cases too, so, yeah, it was great, it was good, and then we went to Missoula over the weekend for softball, and that
Yeah.
was nice, it's a beautiful drive to Missoula,
Oh,
Montana,
yeah.
and, yeah, it was what can I say? It was great. We had a lot of fun, so, yeah, nice to be back. It is the witches market this week, so I'm,
Yeah.
neck deep in projects and finishing some stuff up and
I
having
bet you
last
are.
minute epiphanies and last minute failures and all of the
Sure.
like. So keeping very busy, but that's nothing new. Yeah, so all is well.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, I
Yeah.
think you're going to kick off the show today with a crime update segment.
Yes. So a couple of years ago, we first reported on this case. This is Renee MacRae from Scotland
Yes.
and her son. He was 3 years old. His name is Andrew. And Renee and her son disappeared 46 years ago. And their car was found. She had left Inverness and was supposed well, there were a couple of, stories about where she was going, but, uh,
Right.
her husband thought, or soon to be ex-husband thought that, I think they were estranged. Anyway, thought that she was going to her sister's house, but that was news to her sister. There had been conjecture that she was actually going to meet up with her lover, who was the father of Andrew, but they never made it there. The police ended up late
Mhm.
that night seeing a car on fire, and it was Renee's. There was one drop of blood in the boot of the car, but they never identified it as who it belonged to. But Renee and Andrew were gone, as well as some of the contents of the car, like his stroller or buggy was missing. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of stories over the years about what witnesses did or didn't see. There was a witness who had said that it was storming, it was raining really, really hard that night. And one witness said that he saw a man dragging a lamb down a hillside right there. Well, Renee was wearing a sheepskin coat.
Yikes.
Mhm.
That's right.
There was another witness that said that they saw a man pushing a baby buggy through that, which, could have been Andrew or Renee and Andrew for all we know. But
Right.
this case has gone unsolved for an enormously long time. We also know that her husband Gordon owned a company and that his company had fired an accountant because they discovered that he had been having an affair with Renee MacRae.
Ah, yeah.
Well, that man has finally been arrested, tried, and convicted of the murders. So I want to tell you about that because it's pretty amazing to think that this has finally happened. His name is William McDowell. He's 80 years old and he has been found guilty and sentenced to a minimum of 30 years in prison for the murder of Renee and her son. Their bodies have never been found, still have never been found.
Yeah.
But the police there feel like they had put together enough evidence against him to prosecute, and they did, and they won. They were able to convict. So here he is,
Wow.
80 years old.
Mm.
Renee had an older son who I believe was 7 at the time, who was with his dad. So thank goodness he was safe. But Renee's sister has worked tirelessly all of these years. Uh, there's been a ton of things done too. Like there was a lot of construction going on where she disappeared, and some of that was torn out. A couple of years ago, when we reported on this, they had done a bunch of like Doppler radar or radar stuff like in the earth to try and find pockets because they have always
Oh,
thought
right.
that
Yeah.
maybe she and Andrew were thrown down into an area where a bunch of cement or blacktop was put down on top of them,
Mm-hmm.
but they've never found him. But it's still huge and amazing news to think that they actually got their conviction.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that we still don't know where their bodies are,
Yeah.
but
So
that's
her
it's something.
absolutely. So of course he has denied it. He's never admitted it, even up to now. But her sister, Maura Goggins, who has worked really hard to try to get justice. This is her statement. She said, "The pain of losing Renee and Andrew doesn't ease. Not a day passes when both are not in our thoughts. Andrew's life was cruelly and brutally cut short at such a young age, just 3 years old, and I often wonder what he would be doing now. The passage of time has not erased the anguish. We have not been allowed to grieve properly. Not knowing how Renee and Andrew died and where their remains lie compounds the anguish. I have never stopped trying to find justice for Renee and Andrew, who deserve to rest in peace. Thinking of the terror they must have felt when they died in such a calculated and callous way continues to haunt me."
Yeah.
Such a hard situation. One of the things that came up in the trial is that when he was fired from his job, he had a company vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
refused to return that vehicle until he had replaced the floor of the trunk in that car. And
What?
yeah, and
That's real
refused to put the
sus.
vehicle back until he had finished scrubbing it out. Yeah,
And that wasn't like a huge red flag 46 years ago?
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
Yikes.
One thing that they allowed were statements from police officers who have long since died. This
Mm.
case is really old, to be read
Mhm.
in court and to be used as evidence,
Good.
which,
They'd really
you know,
have to. I mean,
yeah,
if they had statements from anybody or anything, they'd have to be able to use those.
You would think so. Well, in the US, maybe not, but,
Yeah, that's true.
it would not be unthinkable for those to get thrown out, but anyway, in Scottish court, they held up, so it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
Of course, there are certainly, her family members, her son and sister that are still calling on Mr. McDowell to just come clean about where their bodies are
Right.
so that they can actually
Over.
hopefully recover them and bury them. But we'll see if he ever does that. I don't know that he will,
Yeah. Mm. Can you
but there you
imagine
have
being
it.
that kind of a person that even after all this time and you're convicted of the crime and you still hang on to the information about what really happened and where their bodies are?
Yeah,
Whoa.
crappy. Yep.
Yeah.
But huge props to her sister and all of her hard
Yes.
work. Had she not continued to demand justice in this case and stay loud about it and stay in the news about it and her son as well, this would have never happened.
Oh,
So
for sure.
huge props to her
It's
and to law
amazing to keep
enforcement
it
and
going this long.
prosecution. Yeah, for being able to get a conviction. Pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. So there you have it. Well, I'm going to kick the mic over to you for our main case.
Yes. So, we recently covered a story where a community was passing a rumor around that there was a serial killer in their community.
Hmm.
Got everybody all freaked out, and the police came out and said, definitely not a serial killer in your community. Let this go. Don't do this. Well,
Hmm.
turns out another community was, in fact, dealing with a serial killer. So, this is in Stockton, California.
Yeah.
And in Stockton, since in July to the end of September, there have been 5 murders
Mm.
that police have now linked to the same person.
Wow.
We don't know how they've been linked. They're holding on to that. Although I will say
Sure.
that they were all killed with a gun. They were all shot.
Hmm.
And it makes me wonder if what they have is ballistics that, they would be able to tell pretty quickly if they were all shot by the same gun.
Right. Yeah.
But they have actually come out now. The police in Stockton have come out and said, yeah, we're pretty sure we're dealing with a serial killer here.
Wow.
And so I wanted to tell you what we do know. There's a lot we don't. There is one picture circulating, and the police may have more pictures than this, but this is what they have. This is what they've released to the public. So this is like a surveillance video still of a person wearing all black with a cap on walking away from us. So,
Hmm.
I mean, it doesn't tell us very much,
No.
but it's a start.
Hmm.
So this all started on July 8th. July 8th at 12:31 a.m., Paul Alexander Yaw, who was 35, was shot and killed. All of these people were walking alone after dark, either late at night or early in the morning. The 5 victims are all men. 4 of them are Hispanic and 1 is white. They're not all identified yet, though.
Mm.
So after the July murder, then on August 11th at 9:49 p.m., Salvador William Dubetti Jr., who was 43, was shot and killed walking on 4900 West Lane in Stockton. And then on August 30th, this was at 6:41 a.m., an unidentified 21-year-old man was shot and killed. This is all kind of in the same area. It's very close to a university there in Stockton.
Hmm.
Then on September 21st, 4:27 a.m., an unidentified 52-year-old man was shot and killed on Manchester Avenue.
Oh, man.
And then the last one was just on September 27th.
Mm.
So this last week. This was at 1:53 a.m. This was on Porter Avenue, and this was Lorenzo Lopez, who was 54. So the victims, have some things in common. They're all men.
Hmm.
Their age range is very broad.
Yeah.
They are not of all the same ethnicity. At this point, the police have not connected the victims to each other, and it's they're still questioning whether these were just random, like just opportunity, somebody walking around prowling, waiting until someone was alone. They haven't found any evidence yet that that these individuals were targeted specifically,
Mhm.
but we're pretty new into the situation.
Yeah.
Um, of course,
Interesting,
people.
though, to see them identify this is a potential serial killer with the picture. It'll it makes you wonder how this individual will respond to this.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Because
Mhm.
serial killers have a tendency to have a pretty big reaction to being talked about or
Mhm.
identified in some way.
Yeah.
Sometimes that causes people to go underground. Sometimes it causes them to literally reach out and talk to the police and the press.
Right. Mhm.
Sometimes it escalates them. And then, I mean, if you're looking at this from a serial killer standpoint and you look at the timeline, there is escalation happening.
Right.
Like September 1st or September 21st and September 27th, just a few days apart.
Yeah.
There were two in August and one in July. So
Mhm.
things are picking up, which is concerning, obviously, because we don't know who this individual is
Mhm.
and how many more murders there might be. They're all kind of clustered in the northern part of Stockton, which is near San Joaquin Delta College.
Ah, okay.
And if you look at it on a map, it's all kind of just in this one little area, which makes you wonder.
So they haven't identified them as homeless people, right?
Some of them,
Some of
but
them?
not all.
Okay.
Yeah, some were homeless, and that's always a worry because as Katie and I were talking about earlier,
Mhm.
there are serial killers functioning all the time, murdering
Yeah.
homeless because
Mhm.
they're so unprotected. Often they go missing and no one even notices, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. They're very vulnerable. And we've seen quite a bit of that. There was
Mhm.
another in what the DC and New York City area. There was one a few months ago that they have now caught, but he'd killed
Yeah.
about 5 people, and he was killing homeless people.
Oh my gosh.
So we don't know. We don't know if this murderer is a man or a woman.
Mhm.
The assumption is you always kind of jump to man in these
Mhm.
situations. However, there have been female serial killers, and the way this person is dressed, it would be difficult to tell,
Mhm.
especially in the dark, who you're looking at.
Yeah.
But they're definitely taking it very seriously. There's now
Yeah.
$85,000 worth of reward money put up through various entities for
Mhm.
information leading to an arrest.
Good. That's terrifying.
It
But I
is.
can't
Well,
even imagine how the people of Stockton must feel. Also, that this is happening so near a university,
right.
you know? As a parent of, college kids, the thought of that kind of violence happening around your school.
Really scary.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
scary. Well, and the police are just begging for information. If
Yeah.
you've seen anything, if anything you have a question about, there's a dedicated
Yeah.
hotline to call, but you can always just call the Stockton police and they'll help you if you've seen anything.
Mhm.
One of the commonalities is that they were all walking alone when it was still dark,
Yeah.
whether it was late at night or early in the morning.
Mhm.
And, so there's a big push for nobody to go out alone at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah. Even
Definitely.
men, because, women already don't do that typically because they know they're not safe.
Right.
Uh, but
But these were
men
all men that.
typically do go out, they do roam a little more freely in night hours thinking that they're safe because they
Mhm.
historically are. But
Right.
interesting. Yeah.
But in this situation, definitely not. And, we don't know yet. Is the gender a preference or was it literally just happenstance? Because you make a good point. I mean, if you're going to go out and shoot people walking alone in the dark, that'll mostly be men because women just
Mhm.
we don't do it
No,
because we
rarely.
know.
Yep.
Yeah. So there will be lots more to come on this case for sure. But we wanted to share with you what we do know
Yeah.
and encourage you that if you live in the area, to report anything that might be suspicious, and to
Mhm.
be extra super safe. Nobody go walking alone and in the dark. Just don't
Yeah,
do it.
no, do not do it. Yep.
Yeah. So we will continue to update this case in case
Yeah.
updates, and if we get if there's a an arrest, eventually we may do another episode on the individual, but it's something we wanted to keep a pretty close eye on.
Mhm. For
Yeah.
sure.
All right, Katie. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up with some WTF news.
Yes. Okay. Well, this Pee Wee Herman wannabe is Adam Lane Chaudry. Doesn't he look like Pee Wee Herman?
He does. Say his name again.
Adam Lane Chaudry.
Adam Lane Chaudry. I'm very much questioning that pink tie with this outfit. I do not get it.
Yeah, well, the shirt too, but anyway, yes,
Yeah.
this is Adam. Adam is an ex-prosecutor
Oh.
from the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office. He worked there for over 10 years. He's now been fired and he's been charged.
Mm.
Why? Well, because Adam has been actively using the justice system to stalk his ex-lovers
Oh.
to the degree of asking police officers for to run background checks, checks of other sorts, phone records. He has used the grand jury system to subpoena things for both of these women more than
Holy
once
shit.
to obtain information about them to continue to stalk and harass them. There's two of them,
Ooh.
two different women. Interestingly, that it looks like he was in one relationship that was wrapping up and one that was starting. There's about a year crossover there,
Uh-huh.
but he and also some of their family members and friends.
Mm.
He's been hit with an 88 count set of charges for all of the things that he's
Wow.
done. He's had 10 years to operate here where he was
Well,
doing
and
whatever
just
he wanted.
being allowed, like no one was like, you can't, this is illegal.
Mhm. Yep. So state authorities had initially charged him with 88 counts. The Department of Justice has now followed up with federal charges that are similar. So he's in deep shit. But he was using the picture of his ex as a way to run facial recognition software and technology to identify what hotel she was staying at, where she was at, what she was doing, who she was with, long after their relationship was over and during it. But and then of course her family members as well. The second victim has a family member that's incarcerated, and he's been using information that he was receiving from grand jury indictments and from police who, the prosecutor asks you to look into something and you do, like they were none the wiser that,
Mm.
this wasn't some active investigation that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but to get a hold of the phone records of the conversations that this person was having with their incarcerated family member, and so on and so forth. Like it just gets worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been actively using his job as a prosecutor to inflict domestic violence on his partners. Just pretty freaking scary and frustrating.
Yeah, it
Not
is.
that any of us
Wow.
think that those things don't happen, because obviously they do,
Right?
but that they shouldn't happen.
No.
And
It's a huge problem in the system, not only him
yeah.
ethically, but that the system isn't questioning him. Like,
Mhm.
mm,
Yep. Unbelievable. The fact that he was going as far as not just asking for favors from police officers, which is bad enough, but using subpoenas and grand juries to
yeah,
be able to get a hold of any information that he wanted.
yeah,
Wow.
that's really scary.
That's pretty scary. Yeah. So we'll watch this one march through the courts. He's really, really, getting his ass handed to him. And I
Yeah.
don't think he'll be wiggling out of any of this. But hopefully, this sends a pretty strong and resounding message. I would really like this case to get a lot of national attention.
Hmm.
To have a national conversation is a really strong warning and reminder to others in the criminal justice system that if you use the system improperly for your own vices, that you're going to get caught and you're going to get prosecuted because we know this is happening all over the
Right.
place.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, I that's a really good point that this guy needs to be made an example of.
100%. Yeah, and thank goodness for his victims. He's now done harassing them, but also what a scary feeling to have a prosecutor that's using the system against you in a way
Yeah.
that I think a lot of ways that they didn't know. They probably knew that he seemed to know wherever they were and knew who they were talking to and stuff. Like, they probably were pretty keyed on to that, and maybe they knew that he was using his position to do so. But in positions like that, where there's someone in a place of authority, they were probably so gaslit and afraid of him, thinking that he could and would prosecute them for whatever he wanted. You could only imagine the shit that's probably been said.
Oh, yeah. And
Really
yeah,
interested to see this hit the court
how
so we
helpless
can
must his
learn
victims feel,
a
when
little
he's
more
got
about.
that system. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. So, Pee Wee Herman wannabe, we'll keep an eye on this one. You you're going down. You're going down.
Yeah, yeah, we're not putting up with this shit, dude.
Nope.
Wow. Well, thank you for that.
Mhm.
This is our Monday case. It is actually dropping on Monday because we've been dealing with my vacation. But we will be back on Tuesday and Wednesday with
Mhm.
new episodes. And we will also be back on Wednesday night with live case updates. So
Yep.
there is a lot more to keep an eye on around here. So don't miss out on everything we have to offer. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment. All of those things help us to grow. And check
Mhm.
us out on Patreon. We do a couple of new episodes every month that only our patrons get to see.
Mhm.
And so it's a great way to support us
Mhm.
and help us to continue doing what we're doing, but also to get some extra content.
Yeah.
And we do some things over on Patreon that we don't do publicly. So
Mhm.
we cover some interesting stuff over there that you might, uh, be wondering about. But if there's anything we worry about our safety covering, we don't cover it here. We cover it in Patreon.
Yeah.
So check that out.
Yes.
And you guys know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.